Portable computing is fast becoming a necessity, and this demand leads to companies like Jide Technology. I'm JCVP11 for GN Tech, and let's take a look at the Remix Mini. This is the world's smallest Android PC, and it fits easily into a pocket. It doesn't weigh a lot and is built pretty well. With an Ethernet port, 2 USB ports, an HDMI out, and a headphone jack, its connectivity is already better than certain high-end computers. The rubberized bottom is good for grip, while the top is where you find the capacitive logo to turn on the device indicated by the LED up front. The packaging also comes with an HDMI cable, which might be a bit too short, and of course, the power adapter. So what are we waiting for? Let's plug this thing in. Before initial setup, it's important that you have a wireless or even a wired mouse connected to the Remix Mini, because most of the stuff you find when you actually set up the Remix Mini is very similar to what you see when you set up a new Android smartphone. Now, for the most part, your TV or your monitor might not have a touchscreen, and navigating might be a bit cumbersome without a mouse, so please have it handy. Setting up takes about 10 minutes, and once you're done, you're directed straight into Remix OS, which is a specially skinned version of Android 5.1, and you almost feel at home. The desktop is very similar to what you find on personal computers, and you can right-click to access more settings and change the resolution of your display. On the right, you also find space for your notifications, and at the bottom you can toggle your preferences. All of it is very intuitive, and it didn't take me more than 5 minutes to get used to it. On the device, you can also use your Gmail credentials to log into your Google account and access the surplus amounts of apps that you find on the Google Play Store for you to install, as well as access the Remix specific store in order to get applications that the company recommends you use with their device. Personally, I set this thing up in the hall, so the primary reason for setting this thing up was for multimedia consumption, which included things like streaming YouTube videos, watching movies that I had stored on micro SD cards which I could plug in straight to the device, and play the occasional game or two. Of course, playing games that require extensive use of the touchscreen, or the gyroscope for that matter, weren't really compatible with the device for obvious reasons, but the games that didn't really require it ran pretty well. The all-winner quad-core CPU clocked at 1.2 GHz and the Mali 400 GPU inside the device managed to run multiple games pretty well and even function with a YouTube video and 2 games running simultaneously, which was a bit of a surprise to me. Of course, there was a bit of a stutter here and there, but it wasn't anything groundbreaking, and the only reason I think that the stutter was present was because the 2 GB of RAM on board might be a bit limiting for the device. But when I talk about user experience, it does require a bit of getting used to. A mouse and a keyboard on the sofa was hard to coordinate, especially with a display that far away, or if you didn't even have a wireless keyboard, like in the situation I was in. I think a pointer would have helped tremendously with navigating through the UI, or if emphasis on controlling the device was more through voice. But at the same time, if you're constantly moving around and have access to things like a monitor as well as wireless peripherals like a mouse and a keyboard, plugging this thing in could make you use it more as a computer as well as a media consuming device when you're at home. At $70, you're essentially getting a hybrid between a Chromecast and a very affordable smartphone that you can plug in to any external display. Add to that the productivity boost you get when you're moving around, and this thing brings great value for money. I really like the direction Jide have taken with the Remix Mini, and if they could look into how they could make the user experience better in the hall, as well as bump up the specifications a little bit more on the actual device, this device is really something that you could look forward to in the future. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Adios.